Let's hear from Aaron Smale to Manikorehi. A survivor of a state-run boys' home says when he arrived at Koheteri near Levin in 1981, a welcoming committee threw a blanket over his head and stomped on him and bashed him. The abuse inflicted upon Albie Epere is no surprise to many of the 100,000 children taken into state care between the late 1950s to the early 1990s. Albie Epere is a Black Power member. He's 50 years old and he agreed to be interviewed as part of the Waiða Te Manikorehi investigation into state care and how it failed so many New Zealand children. Aaron Smale does pick up his story.
It's important to know Albie Epere didn't grow up in a dysfunctional, violent home. He is one of 4 brothers who grew up with 2 working parents. He doesn't recall how he ended up in state care, but his older brother was already there and he wanted to be with him. It's in these state homes they all learned and experienced violence.
From there I progressed. I took a lot of bashings in there from staff. When we used to run away all the time, they used to put us in the secure block, but before they put us in the secure block, they used to bash us. It became normal for us, so we used to run away more. And in the end, we ended up in Levin, in Koheteri. And I think I spent 10 months there. And in that time up there, got into numerous fights. Numerous bashings. When you first go in there, you get a bash straight away, you get stomped. Everybody that went in there got stomped. What I mean by that, you got stomped, is that they had a welcoming committee. And then they just chuck a blanket over you so you don't see who it is, and then you just get bashed up.
Mr. Epere says after a period of time being bashed, he learnt to become the basher. As a senior member of the Black Power, he reflects on his time in state care and describes the abuse he received by boys and staff as horrendous.
So these things that we learnt along the way, so once it was perpetrated on us, then we started doing it, because we think it's the normal thing to do. There was one time I ended up at up the secure block. I think I was up there for 2-3 weeks, and I was up there for kicking one of the other trainees in the head. We got into a bit of an argument, and then I just got up and kicked him in the head. And then I got sent up there for 3 weeks, and it wasn't a nice experience. Secure block was right at the end. With when we were up in Koheteri, it was a little wee block. I think it might have housed about, it's probably 9 or 12 at a time. A usual daily routine would be up first thing in the morning. It used to be PT for an hour. If you couldn't handle that PT, you got a hiding. We used to have to do that three times a day. And the amount of abuse that got perpetrated on us, that was dished out to us was horrendous, actually. I guess for me it just gave me a platform for when I got older, that violence was okay to do.
It's believed about 100,000 children were taken into state care during a 40-year period. The rate of Māori in some of the homes was as high as 80 to 100%.
After I got out of those places, you could sit there and watch somebody get a hiding and you would think nothing about it. But anybody else that'd be looking at it, they'd never seen violence in their life or hadn't had it in their life, would sit there and freak out. And I was just sitting there and I'm going, well, what's the problem? He's only getting a hiding. And these are these things that we learnt when we were younger, how to take a hiding and how to give a hiding. And for me, I guess that I could probably say that most gang members now either went through those places and are still gang members now or were gang members.
When Albie Epere draws a line to his gang life, he thinks the forced separation from his family and the extreme violence he experienced led him to feel comfortable inside the Black Power where others shared the same experiences. With gang life came prison.
Right through the 80s, the 90s, there wasn't a year that I wasn't in prison. From probably about 83 to about 2000, there wasn't a year I wasn't in there. and I've only just stopped going to prison since 2008.
Since 2008?
2008. And I'll probably say I've done about 25 years all up in the jail system.
But he's a grandfather now, and he wants to make changes.
For me now, it's about undoing what I learnt. I think that's a personal thing for myself, to make me a better person. Like for me now, I'm 50 now. I've got a partner. I had 7 kids. I've got 18 grandchildren. And like for me, for now, it's not about me now. It's about what I leave behind. And if I carry on what I'm doing now, like all my old stuff of what I used to do, then I'm not going to leave them much.
The Human Rights Commission is seeking an inquiry into abuse and neglect in state institutions. The Commission has written an open letter to Bill English, calling for the government to order an inquiry and apologise for the abuse. Mr. Epere is right behind it.
I would like them to take responsibility for their actions.
In recent years, Mr. Epere has received a payment of $20,000 from the government for the mistreatment he endured, but says that doesn't mean it's enough.
I'd like to ask politicians to take responsibility, because we're a byproduct of their system. And that's what they need to take responsibility for, is their actions in the whole thing. You know? We took responsibility for our actions for when we used to beat people up and we went to jail for it. That's what I'd like to say, is it? You know, where's your responsibility in it? Or do you just sweep it under the carpet like everything else?
Mr. Epere says people shouldn't be surprised about the level of violence which stems from state care. He says when you lock a dog in a cage and let him out, he's going to rip everything apart. For Checkpoint, call RNZ Checkpoint.